Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another of my Agatha Christie videos. Guys, the time has come. It is time to tackle one more case. I think the scores so far are 1-4 for me. I think I have only managed to solve 1 out of 5 Agatha Christie novels I have read so far, but maybe this time around I'm gonna best her once again. Though actually for that other video where I actually managed to solve the case, everyone kept commenting like this is Agatha Christie's worst book and therefore apparently was like the easiest to solve. You guys, what up with that? Why can't you just be happy for me? This time around, fair play I guess, this is not her worst book and I'm gonna try to solve it. We're talking The Big Four. As you can tell, I have already started reading this. Not a lot has happened so far yet though, so I can't really gauge, first of all, what this book is actually about. Now I know what the book is going to be about, but I can't really say where it's going to be going, and I also really can't say how my chances are right now of me trying to solve this book, as I'm not really yet sure where exactly we are heading. But let me give you the breakdown of what I already know about this case. I have created this time around not a PowerPoint presentation, but a good notes mind map, if you will. I don't know. Now this time around it is Hercule versus an international criminal gang calling themselves the Big Four. Apparently it is made up of 4 people and they're super bad. They're the super baddies on the block and Hercule is out to fight them. Now here is kind of like the rundown of what we already know about this organization, the Big Four. We don't have a lot of information, some not a lot, some pretty vague. I'm gonna give it to you. So apparently what the Big Four is after is #world domination. What do they want world domination for? It is unclear. Why would anyone actually want world domination? Why would you want that? Like, what are you gonna do once you dominate the world? So they want world domination for whatever reason. The number one of the Big Four, the brains, let's call him, that's where I put the nice emoji there, is a Chinese man called Li Changyan. He is the only one whose name we got. Everyone else is very much an enigma. Number one, we have the most information on him. Now, he in particular is all about the disintegration of civilization. When I read that in the book, I kept thinking about, like, imagine his Tinder or like whatever his dating app profile. List a few of your likes and dislikes. I like tea, rock climbing, and the disintegration of civilization. Like, I don't know, he's interested in, he wants the disintegration of civilization. Okay, again, what for? Like, would you really want that? I don't think so, but okay, he's all about that. Apparently, he has a Napoleon complex, which means, in case you're not up to date, he has a lust for power and also a personal supremacy complex. He apparently is conducting cruel scientific experiments both in Beijing, where he resides most of the time, but this is an international gang, okay? He probably has 50 houses all around the world. So you can't bet on all of this only going down in China for him. How do we know about these cool scientific experiments? Hercule Poirot has already had one informant, a Mr. Ingles. I kept saying it in like the Spanish way, Ingles. But he's supposed to be an Englishman, so it's just like Mr. Ingles, which doesn't sound half as nice, but okay. And he's apparently a China specialist, a China expert, whatever that is even supposed to mean. But apparently he's lived there for a long time, so he knows a lot about everything that has to do with China. And he also knows something about Li Changyan, and that's why Hercule and his trusty psychic Hastings went to him, and he was able to tell them about like all of this disintegration of civilization stuff. Yeah, he gave them the rundown on our number one. He also told them about that time when he still lived in Beijing and he came into contact with a chemist who worked for Li Changyan and had to participate in these cruel experiments which really messed him up, and he tried to tell Mr. Ingles about it, but then he got murdered. So that's unfortunate. Anyway, we have reason to believe that there are other experiments being conducted though, this time in Europe, because a young scientist called Halliday has disappeared in Paris on July 20th, and he apparently did extensive work on some sort of magnetical powers. That's like really important to the Big Four as well, because only recently they have used this kind of power that this man is doing research on to destroy a Navy ship or something. They just did it as a sign of their power, like, look what I can do, just like that. push one button, Navy ship destroyed. And so they made the connection because they used this magnetic power or whatever. They looked into this Halliday guy, found out that he disappeared, which is why Poirot and Hastings went to Paris, and they were actually able to find the guy. He got abducted by the Big Four, like not them personally, but like by their gang of minions. But they were able to, well, free him basically, to make a deal, free him. Now, Halliday had gone to Paris to talk to Madame Olivier, who's supposed to be another Marie Curie, a very prestigious female scientist who's doing experiments on and with radium, and now apparently the Big Four are also interested in stealing that radium. That's the part in the story that I'm currently at. Hercule has plans to prevent the radium from being stolen. That's where I'm at right now. Madame Olivier, she has had a assistant for 5 months who turned out to be not just like your innocent little French girl, but Poirot actually recognized her as the Countess of Rosakov, a Russian lady, a Russian thief he has come across. I don't know if he has actually crossed paths with her in one of the first 4 books. I have read The Mysterious Affair at Styles and The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, but I have not read The Murder on the Links or Poirot Investigate, so maybe she's actually a character in either of these 2 books. I don't know, but he has recognized her and he was able to call her out, was like, what are you doing here? And then they were able to like make the deal and free the other scientist. Now, the Countess right now is operating under a different name though. Like, she took on the position as assistant to Madame Olivier under the name Inès Véroneux, I guess you would pronounce that, I'm not sure. And if you put these initials together, of course you have IV, which looks just like the Roman numeral 4. So is she connected to the Big Four? She's somehow connected to the Big Four for sure, but she might even be one of the Big Four, because let's go back to the other ones. Number 2, we don't know a lot about. He's apparently an American dude who has a lot of cash, a lot of money. He is probably the one sponsoring all of this. I don't know. He's apparently always represented by either the dollar sign or stars and stripes, which of course leads us to believe that he's probably American, because there's only one country on this planet that is seriously obsessed with stars and stripes. Moving on to number 3, a French woman whom we do not know a lot about, only that she's also sometimes called one of the sirens of the demi-monde. Now, monde means world, right? And demi, does that mean like half? The half-world? She's one of the sirens of the half-world. Does that make sense? I don't know. We don't know a lot about her, but because she's sometimes referred to as a siren, I picture her as maybe being this femme fatale, which is why I gave her this emoji in the red dress, because to me that dress is pretty fire. Anyway, what I was referring to before is, of course, is maybe the Countess Rosakov? Is she maybe number 3? Is she this who we thought is a French woman, but maybe she's actually a Russian woman only pretending to be French because she took on this other name whose initials are pretty much the number 4. So is she that person? That would probably be too easy, right? Because we can't just have the first female we meet be the female in the group of the Big Four. That would be way too easy, but I still wanted to put it out there. And now, last but not least, the one who I believe we are actually hunting down is number 4. He's the one, I'm saying he, but realistically, I don't know if he's a man, so let's call them they. So, number 4 is the one whom we have the least information on, because we don't even know where they're from. Poirot has this guess that they're an English citizen, like a UK citizen, but then again, that is not proven in any way, shape, or form, so take this piece of information at your own risk. This person is also called the Destroyer because apparently they're the one. Oh wait, no, we actually do know he's a man because we have met him. I'm sorry. So yeah, this number 4, he's called the Destroyer, and he's apparently mainly the one going out and doing all the killings. Or he is also involved in doing a lot of the killings themselves. The other ones maybe seem to not really get their own hands dirty. That's what they have their army of minions for, right? But he actually goes out and does some of the killings himself. We have crossed paths with him already, but because he is a master of disguise and all of that, even though Poirot and Hastings have actually seen him face to face, Poirot is convinced like they would not be able to recognize him again because master of disguise, okay? 2 people we know he has killed within like the last couple of days. I mean, he has probably killed a bunch of people before, but these are now the ones through which Poirot has found out about the Big Four, and they are the reason that he is now fighting against them. Number one is a guy called Mayerling. He just stumbled into Poirot's apartment. He looked pretty run down, kind of like a vagrant, kind of crazy, all dusty, like he had been living in the streets or something. He stumbled into his apartment, was muttering stuff about the Big Four, collapsed. Poirot and Hastings had to go out to like get a doctor. When they came back, he was dead. The police, I think, were able to identify him and say that he was actually a Secret Service agent, so American, who was thought to be dead because he went missing in Russia 5 years ago. Like, for 5 years, no one has known where this person was, so they considered him to be dead. But now, apparently, he was not dead. But there, we have another connection to Russia. You know, this other lady, the Countess Rosakov, she's Russian. He went missing in Russia. Do we have a connection there? Something to keep in mind. So he was the first victim. The second one was a guy called Wally. He got killed in some random village in the English countryside where he had apparently been hiding from the Big Four. We do not yet know why he was hiding. Like, what did he know about them that made them want to kill him? We do not know that yet. The death was almost blamed on another innocent person, but Poirot was able to solve the case, and this was again the destroyer's work, but he was in disguise once more, so that's why everyone thought this other person did it. So that's the rundown of the first third or so of the book. We already have some information, some murders have already been committed, but do you kind of know what I'm saying? I don't yet really know where this is going. Is this book only going to be about trying to figure out the identity of number 4? Are we actually at some point actually going to confront all 4 of the Big Four, or is it only about this one person? Where is this actually going? Why are they killing these people? Why do they actually want world domination? I don't actually think that's such a cute thing to be after. So that's what we got so far. I don't really have any grand theories or anything like that up until this point. Maybe there's this connection with Russia, as I just pointed out. But other than that, I don't really yet have anything. So I'm going to report back to you once I got something to say. Okay guys, I am back. I have continued reading and I'm now about 2/3 through and we have some new information. So let me give you all the details. Now, first of all, we have discovered the identities of 2 more out of the Big Four. First of all, number 2 we have figured out is an American millionaire called Abe Ryland. This person has tried to lure Poirot away to South America to solve a case there for him, but Poirot was able to figure out, so nah, I think this person is only trying to get me away to stop investigating the Big Four. It was a whole thing. They made Hastings work undercover for this millionaire as his secretary, but this person, he knew the entire time what was going on, and then he made a trap for them, but they knew it was a trap. At the end of the day, we figured out that this American millionaire was number 2. We also figured out the identity of number 3. The French woman in the clique is no other than the famous scientist Madame Olivier. She was the one organizing this entire abduction of the other scientist Halliday. Poirot figured everything out, but because both Abe Ryland and Madame Olivier are quite prestigious public figures, no one would believe Poirot or Hastings if they went public with this information that they are number 2 and 3 of the Big Four. So even though they know who these people are and that they are part of this clique, they can't really do anything about it because no one would believe them. So I am now fairly certain that this book is mainly focused on figuring out who number 4 is, because there have been a couple more killings, all done by number 4, but we still don't know who he is. Now, specifically, there are 2 more killings I need to tell you about. Both of them were first treated as like separate murder cases in the book, and Poirot solved them within like a chapter, but then it always turned out that they were connected to the Big Four after all. The first one was a guy called Mr. Painter. He was killed by number 4 because he apparently wrote a book on the number 1 of the Big Four. He apparently was a traveler dude and he spent some time in China, found out some stuff about Li Changyan, was in the process of writing a book, so number 4 went like, can't have that babe, so he offed him basically. Then victim number 4 was an American chess player whom he killed to prevent this dude from figuring out that number 4 himself had taken on a fake identity of this guy called Dr. Savaronov, who was supposed to be this great chess player, but number 4 doesn't know anything about chess. And then they were in this match together so that this other chess player, the American, wouldn't figure out that he is apparently not this real doctor, blah blah blah, but is only impersonating him because he hasn't been seen for like so many years, so he could impersonate him with no one suspecting that. But then in the chess match, everyone would have figured out like, whoa, this dude doesn't know anything about chess, so he had to clandestinely kill him before this American chess player figured out that he cannot be this Dr. Savaronov. Then there was this whole episode about Hastings getting abducted once more. Didn't he already get abducted before? Anyway, like he got abducted because he thought his wife had been abducted. But it was only like a ruse, of course, to get to Poirot, but he was able to figure everything out. I don't know, that chapter was per se kind of unnecessary, I believe, because nothing actually happened in the end. But now we are truly on the hunt for number 4. The information that Poirot has once more wrapped up for us, the reader, thank you for that, is the following. He believes number 4 to be somewhere in between the years of 30 or 35 years old. So like medium age, he's supposed to be of medium height, medium to fair coloring. We believe all of that because we have already encountered number 4 in like 5 different roles, so to say. Poirot and Hastings have come across number 4 5 different times, but he was always disguised so masterly that they only ever afterwards figured out, oh shit, that must have been number 4, and we again like didn't get it, and so he was able to escape again. So yeah, he must have like a fairly short, straight nose, so he's able to add on some artistic makeup to make it look bigger or something, but you can't make a big nose look smaller, you know? So that's how we figured that one out. And Poirot is for some reason convinced that he must have no or only very few teeth, because in each of these characters we have already encountered number 4, he always had a different set of teeth. I mean, obviously today it's the thing that you can just put in fake teeth to cover your actual teeth to make them look different. You don't have to have no teeth to be able to put something like that in, but maybe back then that was still a thing, so Poirot thinks that he has little to no teeth. Okay, and obviously he must be both a makeup artist and a former actor. So based on these informations, Poirot has had his minions do a little research on possible people who fit this description, and we have narrowed everything down to 4 people. Now guys, for the following slide, I have truly dipped into all of my potential. I have created 4 little phantom pictures of these 4 possible people. Honestly, the police should just hire me as one of these phantom picture painted people. PPPP, are you kidding me? I mean, truly, with this slide, the application does write itself. Anyway, these are the 4 names, these are the 4 possible people that we now think would probably be, like, one of them is probably number 4. First up, we have Ernest Luttrell, 32 years old. He's a son of a North Country parson. He apparently is morally grey. They think so because he was like expelled from school and stuff like that. I don't know, we didn't get any background on why we think that he's morally grey, but apparently he's morally grey. He is a drug addict. He went on stage since he was 23, so he has 9 years of experience, and he apparently left for Australia 4 years ago. But did he actually leave? Probably not, right? In case you are not able to interpret this exquisite piece of art, let me explain what I mean by that painting. So basically, this person is supposed to be clean shaven, he has brown hair, a straight nose, a fair complexion, and grey eyes. Plus, he's 5 feet 10.5 inches. All I say to that is, please, someone give that to me in centimeter. Next up, we have John St. Maur. That is obviously not this dude's real name, but we don't know his real name. He is roughly 33 years old. He might be from Cockney. Is Cockney like a place? I know Cockney is an accent. I think it's also a place, so he might be from Cockney or like have a Cockney accent. I don't know. He has been on stage since he was a child. He also performed in music hall productions. So if number 4 for some reason suddenly turns out in one of these scenes singing, I guess it's this guy. But for the last 3 years, his whereabouts have been unknown. He has a slim build, which is why I made his face so long and narrow. Anyway, blue eyes, and he's also fair, and he too is roughly like 5 feet 10 inches. Number 3, like number 3 as in potential people who could be number 4, it's getting confusing, guys, is a guy called Austin Foley. also known as Austin Lee, though, who is 35 years old. He's apparently from a very good family. He went to Oxford. He fought in the war. He's a criminology enthusiast, and you know what? I love that terminology. It's all about phrasing things the right way. You know, in an interview, I would not say, well, you guys, I really love reading Agatha Christie books. It's totally my jam. I would say something along the lines of, personally, I am a criminology enthusiast and I dedicate a lot of my free time doing research on that topic. It's all about phrasing it, babes. Honestly, the applications really do write themselves if you know how to do that kind of stuff. Anyway, he had a motor accident 3.5 years ago, had a nervous breakdown afterwards, and I believe ever since he has definitely not been on stage, and his whereabouts too have been unknown. He, as all of these pasty boys, is fair, has blue eyes and brown hair, and is 5 feet and 9.5 inches tall. And now, last but not least, Claude Darrell, 33. We don't know a lot about his origins. We don't really know where he's from, where he grew up, etc. So he's of mysterious origin. Apparently has no friends. Not pro, no friend shaming him, but okay. He visited China in 1919 and was on his way back home via America. Stayed there for a while because he had some engagements, some gigs in New York City, and one day in New York City he disappeared. Ever since then, we don't know where this dude has been. We don't really know which year it is right now, but since all of these backstories are like 3 to 4 years ago, I guess right now that this book is taking place, it is roughly like 1922, which, oh my god, 100 years ago. That's the fourth one in the club. He too is fair, has brown hair and grey eyes, is 5 feet and 10.5 inches tall. You might be saying at this point, dude, all of these people look exactly the same, but babe, that's exactly the point, because we're looking for like certain type characters right here. For John St. Moore, we didn't get any information on his hair, which is why I didn't give him any. Maybe he's just like rocking the bald. And now we try to further investigate these 4 people, like which of these is possibly number 4. Okay, you guys, this book is honestly not what I had expected it to be. There is no mystery, no case for me to solve in here. Like, honestly, there's nothing I could potentially come up with theories about, because everything is already answered. Like, all the questions are already answered. All the people were killed, how they were killed and by whom. That was always already revealed and answered within the same chapter. And now we have even figured out who number 4 is. Like, there's honestly nothing for me to do in this book. Let me tell you what happened since we last talked. So basically, we have figured out who number 4 is. I just said so. A lady popped by to give Poirot information on one of the 4 potential baddies that we looked at before. One of the 4 potential people that could be number 4. She gave him information on Claude Darrell, the last one we talked about, because she knew him before he disappeared, and she was able to tell Poirot like a little bit about him, but then she didn't really know a lot about him herself. But 2 very important things that she was able to divulge about him was, first of all, he has this nervous habit of fiddling with bread at the dinner table, and she wanted to give Poirot a photograph she had of him, but she first needed to go home to get it, and wouldn't you know, on her way home she got killed, which of course makes us think, okay, yeah, definitely number 4 is this Mr. Darrell then, otherwise he wouldn't have killed her for almost giving this autograph of him to Poirot. Poirot and Hastings rushed to her apartment, tried to search it for this potential picture, but obviously number 4 beat them to it. He was there, got the photograph, and was obviously also the one that killed this lady. After that, Poirot had this big meeting with the head of state of England and France and Mr. Ingles. You remember him from the beginning of the book, and he divulged all this information to them, like everything he had figured out so far about the Big Four, because he himself, Poirot, considers himself to be in very big danger because he has figured out who number 4 is. So he's like, I'm probably gonna die any day now. So he's giving all of his theories and information on the Big Four to these statesmen so they can, after Poirot maybe dies, do something about and against the Big Four. By the way, Mr. Ingles also being there, and now he's like gone off to China. This is like the only kind of theory I guess I still have at this point, is that I think Mr. Ingles, I don't think he's actually one of the good guys. I would not be surprised at all if he turns out maybe to be number 4 anyway. Maybe he is the sterile person. Maybe he is in cahoots with Li Changyan, this Chinese gangster. I don't know. I have this feeling that he's not one of the good guys after all. Then, the most shocking revelation of this entire book is that Hercule Poirot has a twin brother. I am so shocked because I did not know this. In no of the other books I have ever read starring Hercule Poirot, and there are a lot, a brother has never been mentioned, especially a twin brother. Like, what? I read this and I was shooketh to my coreth, okay? His twin brother, Hercule Poirot, honestly, his mother, his parents, they really had plans for their sons. Hercule and Hercule, damn. Anyway, Poirot tells Hastings kind of randomly about his twin brother. Hastings also hears about him for the first time. And Poirot is like, I'm probably gonna have to involve my twin brother in all of this. He doesn't elaborate on that, but that's like a second theory I have. I will get to that. Because where I just finished, almost like, there are barely like a few pages left until the book is ended. The last chapter I just read ends in Poirot dying. Once more, the Big Four tried to distract him with like a fake case basically, but Poirot was again able to figure it out. So, they're only trying to distract me here. So he rushed home and he was like, oh wait, maybe there's a trap here somewhere. And Hastings is all like, what are you talking about? There's not a trap. He touches something, a bomb basically goes off. Hastings wakes up again, but the doctor tells him, Hastings, Poirot didn't make it. Now, obviously, we know that that is not true in any way, shape, or form. Not only is this book number 4 out of about 60, so Poirot ain't dead. And even if I didn't know that this is book 5 out of 60, Poirot can just like simply not die. Except for in the last book. But anyway, so obviously Poirot kind of faked his own death. I don't know if he's like working together with the doctor. And he was like, once Hastings wakes up, make him believe I'm dead, because if he believes it, then the Big Four are also gonna believe it. Like, I'm certain, like, obviously he faked his own death, trying to make the Big Four believe that they won. And now this is where I'm very certain that his twin brother is gonna come into play. Poirot has probably written to him and he has come over, and now they will be able to make some sort of scheme up to lay a trap for the Big Four. Anyway, that is what has happened. There's, I guess, only like 1 or 2 chapters even left. But as I just said, there's no case for me to solve. There's no matter for me to now have big theories on, like, who did it, who done it, I don't know. We know who killed all these people. We know who the victims are. We know who the murderers are. We now also know who number 4 is. I think the only thing that's still going to happen, like these last couple of chapters, is that Poirot is going to obviously manage to lay this big trap for the Big Four. And he's going to catch them, and that's the end of the book. I don't know. I really didn't expect this. I thought this was going to be like just another Agatha Christie with like a murder case with a bunch of suspects, and you have to gather all the clues, and then you have to make up your theories on who probably done it. Not this book, I guess. So, I mean, I'm gonna tell you what happens in the last couple of chapters, but I guess there's not gonna be a lot for me to theorize on, except, as I just said, I'm fairly certain that the twin brother is going to come into play, and potentially Mr. Ingles is not who he says he is. That's all I got. I feel kind of let down by this book, just in the sense that it was not what I had hoped it to be. Also, this is obviously not really now me trying to solve an Agatha Christie book anymore, because there's nothing in here to solve. This is more a video of me telling you the plot as I'm reading the book, I guess, but I hope you enjoy it nonetheless. Anyway, stay tuned for the last reveal, the final ending of this book. Okay friends, it is done. I have just finished the book, and pretty much everything I just said actually came to be. So of course, Poirot was not actually dead. He was very much still alive and devising this ingenious plan to make a trap for the Big Four, which he actually did, and they did fall into the trap. The twin brother also came into play, so to say, only for the final twist to be, though, that actually Poirot lied about having a twin brother. And when there was this one moment at the very end when we thought that Poirot and Hercule had swapped places, actually it was Poirot in disguise. But everyone thought, including Hastings, that it was Poirot's twin brother. But all of that was, again, just a ruse. And it was part of the plan deceiving Hastings as well, because Hastings believed it to be true as well. The Big Four believed it to be true. You see this recurring theme that Poirot has to lie to Hastings as well. Otherwise, Hastings would not be able to like fake certain emotions or like fake being convinced of something, because apparently he must be a really bad actor. So he always has to believe something even if it is actually a lie. Anyway, so all of that came true. The thing about Mr. Ingles, not really. He died in mysterious circumstances on the boat to China it was deemed a suicide, but like Hastings was convinced like probably he was pushed off, so it was murder. But then because it happened while we were not there, I think there's definitely room for speculation out there that you could come up with theories like, no, I actually think he's still alive. But it did not become part of like the big revelation at the end that Mr. Ingles is actually working for the bad guys. But I still have this feeling in my heart, and the ending of the book cannot take that away from me. Okay, so that was the big four. To be honest, I'm a bit disappointed in the story. It was not what I wanted it to be, especially not for this video. I had hoped this is just like another murder case that I can try to solve on camera, but now was anything but that. And even if I hadn't tried to make a video about that, I mean, it's especially unfortunate as I actually wanted to make a video about trying to solve the case, and now obviously I couldn't do that. But even if I hadn't done that, the book would have still disappointed me because, I don't know, the setup, I guess, was just kind of ridiculous. I guess this gang of super villains that have a literal underground lair in the Dolomites where everything, like the big showdown, goes down in their underground lair. There's just like, come on, people. And all these secret super weapons that Madame Olivier has apparently developed. Like, all of that sounded very fantastical, very ridiculous, to be honest. So yeah, definitely not my favorite book. I guess maybe that was the merit of this video. I read the book and told you about the plot so that you don't have to read the book, because it is arguably not one of Agatha Christie's bests. And you know I love anything Agatha Christie, so me saying that this is like truly not one of her best books, that really says something. If you're asking me for an Agatha Christie recommendation among the books I have read, this is probably the last I would recommend. Anyway, so that was the big four. I hope you still somewhat enjoyed this video, this plot summary, more than me trying to solve this. Again, maybe the moral of the story is that now that you know the plot of the book, you don't have to read it, and that in itself is maybe a good thing. I don't know. I hope you still enjoyed this in one way, shape, or form. Thank you so much for watching. If you stayed until this point, damn, you're a real one. That's really hard of you. I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye.